Awesome. Well, we can go ahead and get started. It is being recorded, so if anybody shows up late, we can always, we'll make sure that we send them out the recording, or, anybody who didn't get a chance to sign on, they'll get a recording of it as well. But welcome everybody to the webinar about recruiting. My name is Mariah. I'm on the sales team over here at C Squared, and I have had the privilege of talking to so many people in different industries about their recruiting needs. And I have just seen the power of how digital marketing does play into that. I am kind of a testament to that. I got hired through C Squared by just scrolling through my Facebook page one day. I saw an ad, it sounded interesting. I still remember I had just woken up that morning, submitted my information, and then the rest is history. Cody called me a couple days later, and now here we are. So it works across the board, whether you're looking to hire somebody in kind of those seasonal positions, whether it's a retail level, looking for somebody with a little bit more experience, and everything in between. It is right now, this is where everybody is spending their time, so it's a super powerful tool to utilize. So I would like to introduce you to our panel. We have Carly Atwood, Charles, Gracie, and Reed Peterman with us today. So I'm going to turn it over to them. So Carly, would you mind talking a little bit of, telling us a little bit about you and kind of, who the type of people you're looking to hire?
Sure. Well, like Mariah said, my name is Carly Atwood, based in the Kansas City area. I'm a multi-unit operator for different yogurt concepts, and also a chocolate concept, and a mini donut concept called Humble. So we really specialize in looking for the type of person that is usually part-time. We deal with a lot of people that it's their first job, sometimes high schoolers up to college students, looking to be able to work, but more on that retail level, and then even recruiting managers, that type of thing.
Awesome. Reed, would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself, please?
Sure. Yeah, so my name's Reed Peterman. I'm out of Boise, Idaho, and I'm a multi-unit operator as well. So I've got 3 Rocky Mountain chocolate factories, and then I also own a Service Master franchise. So we do disaster relief, and then we've been using C Squared, probably 8 years, and we use them for all our recruiting. We use them for recruiting and for our marketing, and both of them work amazingly, because we're looking for usually the young kids that are still in high school or in college looking for a part-time deal, that want some easy hours that are flexible, and we found that going through social media is the easiest way versus like Craigslist or Indeed or any of those guys, and the most cost effective as well.
Awesome. And Charles, would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself, please?
Yeah, my name's Charles Gracie. I'm the Director of People Operations for a medium-sized carrier that operates out of Chicago, Illinois. We operate everything east of the Mississippi River and regional routes for Southeast, Northeast, and Midwest. It's kind of tricky recruiting drivers for those positions because you have to pull them from strategic areas, and it changes frequently, and C Squared has aided us in that and kind of solved a lot of our hiring needs by allowing us to get the lead generation in front of the people we were targeting rather than Craigslist or Indeed.
Awesome. Good to hear. So we're talking to people in kind of 3 different types of industries. Reed, you did touch a little bit about what it's like to hire kind of those high school kids. Would you mind assuming a little bit on kind of what it's like to hire somebody for Service Master, and that seems like it's a little bit more of a skilled position. So what does that look like for you, and compared to other efforts you've done?
Yeah, it definitely is, so we have 2 different types that we're looking for on Service Master, either general labor, which kind of falls into the same guys we're hiring for Rocky Mountain, but then we're looking for a lot of skilled labor. we need guys that know what they're doing with water damage, mold remediation, and then also on the construction side, because we're looking for guys that can do tile, frame, everything, putting a house back together. And so using Facebook allows us to, or any social media allows us to target those guys and get a lot more get better leads through it.
Awesome. And so those are kind of people that you're looking to be a little bit more longevity, stay with you for a long period of time. And then how does that compare to the people that okay, awesome. How does that compare to the people, like Rocky Mountain, where it's just kind of the, like you said, the high school student? How did those leads compare to when you said the Craigslist leads, as far as how long they stay, their quality of work?
Definitely Rocky Mountain, we're usually getting an employee I can usually count on for about 6 months, and then they're either going to college, have school come up, or just kind of moving on. Versus Service Master, we're getting employees that are looking for more of a career, and are willing to put in the work, and they're willing to make, or they're not willing to, but they're going to make a little more money than those that are just coming in for temporary work.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Charles, would you mind talking a little bit about how, our leads do compare to leads that you've had before with, all the different options for trucking, and kind of what those leads look like and how long they stay, and, their quality and all that stuff?
Yeah, sure. So for our specific company, we're looking for specific areas, which is tricky enough, but we're also looking for specific hiring criteria, which has always made it difficult on how you get in front of that right audience. And the trick is you'd spend a lot on Craigslist or Indeed, you go through all those apps and resumes, you still got to gather a full application, run the reports. You're looking for 2 years experience, stable work history. You're looking for clean criminal background. You're looking for a good PSP and safety record, clean MVR. And it really narrows down your job pool. So the problem was always getting in front of as many people as possible to get your name out there. And what C Squared was able to do for us is not only put us in front of actively looking job applicants, but also passively advertising people that might not be looking for today, might not be tomorrow, might be a month, might be a year. I've had some guys that have come across the ad and in a year like, hey, I see it again. I see it all the time. And what that's done is it's kept our pipeline full. And in trucking, it's just common knowledge, you have a high turnover rate. So to have that pipeline full with qualified applicants, that really aided the recruiting department and able to fulfill the company's needs in order to keep the truck seated and do our job. And it gets reduced down even more because it had the unintended side effect. It got us in front of so many people. Our social media presence was just out there, and people were like, hey, I never heard of you guys, and now I hear about you, and I didn't realize how big you were. I get guys every week at the terminal and like, wow, you guys are way bigger. It's just you have to get in front of that audience, and C Squared was able to do that for us.
Awesome. Carly, would you mind talking a little bit more about kind of what your turnover rate typically looks like, how the leads that you may be receiving from us compares to, a different lead source that you do, and kind of some best practices that you started with C Squared that you weren't able to do with some other, recruiting options that you're using before?
Sure, yeah. So we've been with C Squared about 4 years. And prior to that, I know all of us have mentioned Craigslist, but that was our primary to go to. Our employees are generally not on Indeed. They're not really in that professional spot unless we are looking for a manager that would even think to look on Indeed. So we were doing a lot through Craigslist and really had a difficult time. It was a big time sink. We would schedule things, try to get people that did respond to an ad that we would put on Craigslist. And I would say probably 75% of the time, they would never show up to their interview, or they would never even respond once they did a general inquiry about what the position. So it definitely was a very fruitless effort, I would say, that was frustrating. So we definitely see higher quality with the Facebook leads from C Squared. And it also really saves a lot of time that we're able to ask questions. We've had it set up with a messenger initiative with you guys where we're able to pre-screen and be able to say, for us, a lot of it is availability. If someone's not able to work a weekend or any shifts at night, that's not a super useful employee for us, but we're able to kind of screen that right off the bat so we know if a candidate has that availability, we're more inclined to move forward quickly. And just the whole process is faster. For us, again, we're working with college level kids and students, so they're on Facebook all the time, so they respond super quickly. We can put ads out and start getting inquiries back and people looking to schedule interviews within a day or sometimes even a couple hours. So, and they are more likely to show up for an interview, more likely to be there on the first day of work. We have seen some really good, I think some of our employees that we actually have now in one of our stores have been with us for 4 years, and they came from our first batch of C-squared leads. So they've been really great.
That's awesome. So I know the question that's been on everyone's mind for the past 6 months now at this point is, how is recruiting and how has it gone in the age of COVID and just, there seems like there's more people looking for jobs and everyone's spending more time on social media. So Charles, would you mind talking about that? How has your lead flow been impacted, if at all, during this? How has the quality been impacted? Do you feel like it was advantageous for you to continue your ads through this time of uncertainty? Just a little bit on that.
Yes. So we were really dreading this because we have such a tight pool of applicants in the beginning, and I actually called my account rep over there and I told him, hey, I'm concerned, blah, blah, blah. I had no reason to be concerned. We didn't slow down at all. It helped us get through a difficult time because people were getting sick. People were nervous. It really made the applicant pool a lot harder to get qualified candidates and then make sure you're finding candidates that's going to stick around. Specifically in our industry, there's a high turnover cost. Between switching trucks, cleaning them, transportation, training, because I can't just take people off the street. So being able to get in front of the right audience and able to get in front of as many people as possible during that time and continue to stay in front of these people and keep a full pipeline has allowed us to not only maintain our account, but also keep in front of people where I have a waiting list at times. I mean, there's no given week where I don't have more applicants than what I need at that given time. And it's nice because I can be very picky about who I'm taking and making sure I'm adding the right teammates to our organization that's going to help us grow, especially during a time where money's tight and everyone's worried about where the next dollar is going to come from.
Awesome. Carly, how about for you? I know that we're in California, so things are a little bit different than they were in Kansas as far as things that were staying open and shutting. How did this impact you in your recruiting process and recruiting needs?
Yeah, we really didn't see a huge change for us. Most of our staff stayed with us. We did have a few that decided that they would prefer not to work and be out and risk exposure, I guess, at that point. So we did have a few positions open, but really, like you mentioned, there was also a lot of people looking for work due to closures of different types of businesses. So we were able to fill those positions really quickly as well.
Awesome.
But yeah, it did not seem like it affected lead flow, at all. We again could turn on Facebook ads and get applicants within a couple days, so that was great.
Awesome. That's great to hear. Charles, one of my favorite things about working with you as our client is that you just have such great follow-up and you really do build relationships with your applicants. So would you mind talking a little bit, just some of your best tips and tricks, what your follow-up looks like, kind of. So this is where you get to talk about being an expert in your field and what sets you apart in this space.
Yeah, of course. So I think, the biggest difficulty is maintaining the relationships with the employees, not only during the hiring process to make sure you get the right people onto your team, but also following up afterwards. So what we've exercised here is beyond being picky, we also want to make these applicants feel like we're interested in them. So there's times myself, I'm taking calls at night. I'm taking calls while on the line at Six Flags. My wife's very forgiving. But by doing this, I'm getting in front of these applicants that work these difficult hours, because there are drivers that are working 24/7. I still need to get in front of them. They might be a perfect applicant. I'm working with people that are older and younger. So again, it's a very diverse audience, special location. So by being flexible with these guys, I'm building a relationship right out the gate. But before that, I still need to get in front of these guys. And so I run very aggressive drip campaigns. I run very aggressive email blast campaigns. If I get an applicant that I might not have converted to a full app, I'm going to follow up with them, see what happens, see what perked his interest somewhere else, and I'm going to see what I can do to get this applicant to come here, complete a full app. And then once that happens, I follow up on these apps. Even if they choose another job, I want to follow up and make sure these applicants are happy where they're at and remembered me afterwards in case something went wrong. So I've had guys that I've talked to a year ago, 2 years ago, come back and full circle and, hey, I want to work here. I've heard a lot of good about you. I've seen you on social media. I've seen your reviews. And I think by being personable in a industry that's gone very automated has gone a long way with maintaining those relationships in order to capture these employees and value team members later on down the line.
Awesome. Carly, as you are trying to build relationships with the, kind of that college age applicant who, like you said, they might be only there for 6 months, or, you're trying to get in front of them before they go off to college, and, you want to make sure that you're having the best relationship and making your store the place they want to work versus working at like a clothing store. Kind of what processes do you follow, and, what does your follow-up look like in your relationship building?
I would say on the recruiting side, we've learned how important it is to really get a hold of them quickly. If you see a lead come in and you let it sit for 2 or 3 days, there's a good chance that you are not going to be able to get a hold of them. And then we've also had it happen before that you get a lead in, it looks like a really great candidate. But if you don't follow up right away, when you do hear from them, they've already accepted another job. So it's very competitive on anyone with experience, anyone that really comes across as competent, and they go quickly. So we've really learned to follow up quick. That's why the automation that you guys offer has been super helpful for us to be able to get them through the pipeline of working to submit an application, schedule an interview. Those things have been super critical for us being able to get those top of the line employees that we're really looking for. But I agree with what Charles is saying, just that relationship building is so important, that even if you do know, most likely your staff member is going to be moving on for a different career change or to head off to school or whatever that looks like, just the importance of really showing them that you care and that they're part of your team, and that they help make your business successful, I think is so critical. And by instilling those things, I think you end up getting people that do stick around longer, or just like Charles said, sometimes they come back. We've had employees have that happen too. They move away for college, but they come back and work with us during the summer because they appreciate our work environment and I think that personal relationship that we've built with them.
Awesome. You mentioned automation. Would you mind touching on kind of what automation tools that you're using through C-Squared and how those work for you and kind of help you keep top of mind?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, we used a messenger campaign, so we're able to ask questions to a lead right off the bat. So if they click on the ad, we worked to set up different messaging so that we can ask those questions that we really need to know right off the top, and then be able to gather their information as well. So we can get a phone number and an email address. We've also learned back to kind of a follow-up process. And I don't think this is necessarily just because we're dealing with college age people a lot of times, but people do not normally pick up the phone. So texting is such a great way to follow up, even if you're following up with a higher level person. So you guys have automation to be able to allow us to send a text right away as soon as the lead comes in as well, to be able to either put our contact info in or link to Calendly so we can schedule an interview. Those types of automations have been great.
Awesome. Charles, when you mentioned your drip campaigns, are you using text messages and emails and messenger? What does that look like on your end, especially in the trucking industry?
So because our audience we're in front of is quite diverse in age, we use a combination of a lot of things, and it derives from the leads that we get you, the integration into our applicant tracking system, but in between, in order to keep those leads engaged and filter out the bad ones, we have messenger campaigns, which through you guys allow us to use decided questions, and certain answers get certain outcomes. So it filters through those and funnels me only the qualified leads based on the questions that I've provided you guys. That helps a lot. And it also opens up into a dialogue. If they have a question outside of that, I see it and I can respond to it personally, and it gets in front of me right away. It gets in front of my recruiters right away, and it allows us to have a very good response rate and being versatile on social media platforms. We also integrate into our applicant tracking system, which for us, we use 10th Street, and it goes in there, automatically populates in our system. And then in there, we have it where the autoresponder that gives another preempted message on how to do a full app, how to follow up with us, how to call us, and it follows the same suit and dialogue that we have set up with you guys. So by being able to do all these different platforms and by you guys seamlessly integrating into them, that part of the tedious work that takes away from recruiters sending text messages, drip campaigns through email blasts, we use all those services through you guys through pre-recorded messages and dialogue that we've set, and it filters and funnels us only the most qualified applicants, the leads, and then our guys will go in there and make the calls. And generally, it's made our whole recruiting process go from on an average of a month for a hire to next week. I'm bringing in guys this week that I just talked to last week, and same thing for next week.
Awesome. Well, we are reaching the end here, so just one final question for both of you. If you could, if there's anything else you have to say about, working with C-Squared and anything else about just kind of recruiting in general that you want to touch on before we wrap it up here. Charles, if you want to start.
Sure. I'd have to say through working with you guys, the most surprising thing was the personal relationship that's formed between myself and the account reps and the people even outside in the marketing side and the digital design side. If they have a question, they reach out, they ask a lot of questions to make sure they understand your culture and they're communicating it properly because it's going in front of such a vast audience. And whenever I needed something, which in transportation, when you need something, it has to be quick. I get a hold of my account rep and it's taken care of right away, which is just something you're not used to seeing in this world. So very happy with the service and very happy with the results.
Awesome. And Carla, if you want to wrap it up there for us.
Sure, yeah. We also just love the service that we get. We love the technology that you guys have for us. I love that it's cutting edge and it really not only works great for our recruiting efforts, but also makes us look good as a company to be utilizing top technology tools. It saves me a lot of time from having to, shuffle through paper resumes, and it's really delivered results. I feel like that's the huge thing with working with you guys is we can see the results and be able to measure that. And that's such an important thing as a business owner to see that ROI come in. And that's what we see. So we love that.
Awesome. Well, Carly and Charles, thank you so much for your time today, and thank you for just kind of sharing some insight on what it is that you do with us and how you've seen success. We will be sending out a recording as well as a link to a calendar if you guys are interested in learning more. We'd love to sit through a full demo with you, walk you through kind of what's going on here, how we can help your recruiting efforts and get you in front of qualified candidates as well. So you'll be receiving that. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We'll have contact information in that email as well. So thank you everyone for hopping on. Hope you have a great rest of your Thursday and hopefully we're talking to a lot of you here soon.
Thanks, Mariah.
Thank you.
Thanks.